Hey everyone, it's Mike with It's Pittsfield Tonight. I'm going to jump right into it. And I want to start with tonight's city council meeting. So tonight there'll be a council meeting, Tuesday the 10th, November the 10th. And there's a few things being discussed. I think the big one at tonight's meeting is discussing the FY21 taxes. So that probably will take a good chunk of it. Another thing that I believe will most likely be discussed at tonight's meeting is the mayor's At Home in Pittsfield program. And for those of you that don't know, the At Home in Pittsfield program or project is the mayor wants to take $500,000 from the GE Economic Development Fund and loan it with forgivable loans to certain homeowners in certain areas for certain exterior projects that qualifies by the city's guidelines to do work on your house, like maybe a roof, siding, a porch, something like that. It has to be exterior and it has to fit their guidelines. They pick the contractors, they run the program, and then you can't be a landlord. It can't be an income property that you don't live at. You have to reside at that property. You have to maintain your residence there as an owner for at least 7 years if you get chosen for this. And it's capped at a certain amount. The whole thing doesn't make sense to me because, one, it's not economic development. I've heard some counselors argue that, well, it's putting contractors to work. Yes, they'll be flooding in from everywhere to fight for a few $100,000 worth of work. That's not economic development. That's not creating sustainable jobs. Granted, that might put some people to work for, I don't know, a couple weeks or something. You're not talking a lot here, but you are talking a lot when you're removing it from the Economic Development Fund. And then part of the stipulations were like certain, the household income, you have to live there. It can't be an income property. You have to live on it. I guess maybe a duplex that you rent one side or something like that might qualify. I'm not exact on that, but you have to live there. You have to agree to stay there for 7 years. The city will pick the contractor. The household income can't exceed I think $106,000 or $107,000 a year. So if you make more than that, then you can't qualify for this. And I'm thinking, look, if you have a roof that's leaking, and you're making over $100,000 a year, there's a problem there somewhere if you can't get a roof done. And then on top of it, a roof is not economic development. A roof does not add value to a home. That's basic maintenance. So if you have to spend $20,000 on a roof and you live in a $80,000 house or something, don't think that just added $20,000 of value to that house. It doesn't work like that. Same with siding. Siding potentially could add some value to the property, but not what you spent. It doesn't work that way. And I was in real estate for quite some time as a marketing person, but I did a lot of work with real estate. And then on top of this, with such a small amount of money, you're going to have a lot of people wondering who gets picked, why they didn't get picked, the ones that don't. You're going to cause turmoil in the community. So, because there's not enough money to do what it's supposed to do, and that money should be used for economic development. I saw this company coming in that the mayor is asking for $300,000, and they agreed to this company over the next few years. They're going to hire up to 6 or 8 employees, something like that. Not a lot of jobs, but nonetheless, there's plateaus they have to hit to have that as a forgivable amount of a forgivable loan, and they have to hire a certain amount of people, and that they have to stay in business. There's all sorts of things they have to do. That is economic development. Having some contractors come in and put a roof on your house is not economic development, or siding or a porch. That's not economic development. And if it was to raise the value of the housing stock in certain neighborhoods, then if those people couldn't afford a roof or siding, how are they going to afford the tax increase when the value of the home is reassessed? So that's why I'm against it. And there's plenty of other ways through private capital that you could get these programs done and do them by neighborhood and really benefit the neighborhoods and really make a difference. But the mayor supposedly was passionate about this, but when it failed at the council last year, she just didn't look at any other avenues. It was just putting this program back in, and I think it's the wrong way to do it. Me personally, I think it's going to cause fighting among people. A lot of people upset that they didn't get picked, wondering why certain ones did. All that stuff. It's not the way to do it. It's like when you were a little kid and the teacher said to you, "Did you bring gum for everyone?" You can't. It's that money is for everybody in the city. That's economic development fund, because everybody who lives here and suffered through some of the damage done by GE, families that have been here for a long time. So, that money was for economic development, to grow the community, to grow the tax base. And the way that's being used, in my opinion, it's a very, very far stretch to call it that. So another thing I want to mention also is I saw a lot of people upset about the mayor and one of our city councilors, our Ward 6 councilor, the DA. A lot of people, some of these local politicians turned out for an event in Pittsfield for I guess a celebration of the election of Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. And look, I understand, and I'm not getting into national politics with this, okay? But this was a local event. And what upset people was there was like 70 to 80 people, including the mayor and the DA and Dina Lampiazzi, and I don't know all of the people that were there, but I saw those. And people were sending me messages and pictures saying, we can't have people over for Thanksgiving, and we can't do this and that, but there's the mayor out there at this large gathering playing politics. And the stars all came out, I think is how the mayor put it on her Facebook page. They think they're stars and celebrities. That's something I've been saying a while. Which is nauseating to think that public servants believe that they're stars. Oh, they're stars, all right. But look, I understand some people want to celebrate, from a local politician, wrong move. This is about healing the community, not continuing to divide it. And in the middle of a pandemic, when we know numbers are increasing, they're having to do contact tracing in the schools, restaurants that are shutting down, the mayor telling us to double down on our efforts, sending out that pre-recorded phone call to everybody, and then going out in a group of 70 to 80 people. I don't care if you have masks on. Not everyone was 6 feet apart, just from the pictures I looked at. But smiling and dancing and doing all this, it's lead by example. Everyone's stressed. Restaurants are going out of business. Things are shutting down. These numbers sound worse than they have at any time during this, but there's the mayor out there in the middle of the parks, with the do as I say, not as I do. And granted, I read the governor's guidance. That was in full compliance. Political gatherings, for one, see, if you read his thing, they're not included in this. But it wasn't a public setting. It was less than 100 people. People did have face masks on. But the point was, it should be lead by example. Especially when you have someone like our Ward 6 counselor, Dina Lampiazzi. Now, I don't know if she was there with the DA's office because she's the projects coordinator or something for the DA, or if she was there representing herself as a city councilor, or maybe she was there from the licensing board because, as Mayor Tyre stated, she's irreplaceable on the licensing board. So we don't want to do anything to upset her. If she ever moved away, what would we do? We wouldn't be able to have anybody who could do the job she does. But the fact that restaurants, especially if you're on the licensing board, you've punished people for like I don't know, gatherings, weddings, things like that. And here they are, 70 to 80 of them out dancing in a park, and it's just not right. That wasn't right, and it upset a lot of people. I had to mention that, and it was in a neighborhood that has seen a lot of violence. You know, yesterday was another shoot 'em out day in Pittsfield, gunfire here and there, shell casings being picked up, and luckily nobody, as far as I know, nobody was shot or anything like that, but that's Pittsfield. It's become very dangerous as far as, you know, violence, guns, and drugs and gangs. It's a big deal in Pittsfield, and everyone knows it. I get a ton of messages on that. You'd think that you'd maybe see the mayor out there in these neighborhoods talking about that, rather than the stars came out today, our star celebrity politicians. Maybe she could have had her red carpet team come and laid the red carpet out for the stars. Maybe she could have got another award. Who knows? But I had to mention that because it was a little infuriating to see that, and it upset a lot of people. So if you haven't seen that, iBerkshires did a good piece on that with lots of pictures. You should check it out. So, but I don't know. It's supposed to be about healing, and, you know, showing off like that is not healing. Partisan politics was never part of the Pittsfield landscape till this clique took over. And maybe they should have listened to the president-elect when he said your opponents are not your enemies, because that's how we run elections here. So I wish that would stop. So anyway, back to this council meeting also. So the FY21 taxes and tax rates are going to be discussed. And you know, assessment values went up. I think the tax rate went down a few cents for commercial and residential. I haven't had a chance to read the whole thing, but it looked that way. And so, you know, we're coming into an election coming up, because that's what they do. They assess the properties, raise the values, because we're at the levy ceiling. You know, you can only tax so much. So raise the values and then lower the tax rate. And in essence, you're getting the same, if not more, coming in taxes doing it that way. And then you can say, I lowered taxes. And you can use that right before an election. So remember that. We've got council elections coming up. And I hope that we can do something about voter apathy and community apathy when it comes to politics in Pittsfield. Stand up, people. Politics are local. You really want to make a difference, get involved. Run for council. I want people to, if you're interested in running for council, message me. Really, I've gotten quite a few names. I want more. I want to see more people involved. It's not an impossible task. And, you know, we've had this same clique, these same people in power, most of them, for so long. It's time for change, and I think we're seeing that everywhere. And it's time to sweep out the old and bring in the new and have another go at it. These shouldn't be seats that you hold for years and years and years. It shouldn't be that way. It's public service, community service, and everyone has a shot. So if you're interested in running, please message me. So anyway, that's it for now. I'm going to wrap it up. Check out tonight's council meeting. I'll do an update on that anyway, and I've got to go through the budget. I haven't had the time to look a lot at that for FY21 and tax rates and all that. I need to look at that. So, but I've briefly looked at it for a few minutes before doing this video. So that all that's being discussed tonight, it's an important one. Check out the meeting, the wonderful PCTV, but at channel 1303 if you have Spectrum cable, or I think they stream it on their website, PittsfieldCommunityTelevision.com. And I'll do an update on it tomorrow. So for the third time, that is it for now, and I'll catch you all tomorrow.